Welcome to the Collingwood Rant. I'm Sly.
And it's all yellow and blue, Spook.
Spook, what a win.
Wasn't it the best win?
I was so impressed. I thought this could be a danger game.
How impressed were you?
I could not believe that we could dominate a game to that extent and control the tempo against such quality opposition.
Incredible. With all those injuries out too, and all those kids stepping up like they'd played the game 100 times.
Yeah. I was thinking that maybe, they might come back. I mean, they're a really good outfit, West Coast.
They are, aren't they?
They've been really, they've surprised a lot of teams this year.
Their form has been scintillating.
Yeah. So it was a fascinating game to watch in terms of, you play the Brisbanes and, the Carltons and all that.
But they're shit.
They're shit. But you play West Coast. You play West Coast at Marvel. Away from home.
Away from home. There goes the bear.
There goes the bear in his
excitement. He's absolutely in awe of this game.
It was Where did West Coast finish last? Where were they?
They're top two, aren't they?
Top two. Oh, that must have been top two.
Well, they're two of something.
Yeah. But they're reigning something. They were reigning this year from last year, carried over.
I'll tell you what else was raining.
What?
Goals.
Goals
were raining.
In our forward line.
Do we have one?
So, I don't even know if there's anything to talk about, really.
No.
When you dominate a quality opposition to this extent, just last year they were talking about sacking their coach.
Well, who's their coach?
That guy.
It's Norm Brayfogle, isn't it?
They were talking about sacking him, and he's a genius.
Why would you sack him?
How far are they outside the 8?
Oh, they're about this far.
How far are they outside the top 2?
Well, they are top 2, aren't they?
Well, surely they are.
I'm sure they're top 2. I looked at the ladder.
Yeah.
I remember I picked up my phone and I thought, why has Apple put the home button at the top of my phone? And then when I checked the ladder, it was West Coast are top 2.
Does it surprise you, or not surprise you, but does it impress you how many people in
I'm
social
impressed.
media have jumped on to celebrate our dominance of such a powerhouse? Do you know they won the grand final 6 years ago?
I was that excited I missed the medal presentation at the end of this game.
There was a medal presentation?
Oh, well, they had the Norm Smith, didn't they?
Did they? I thought it was the Andrew Williams medal.
Was it?
Yeah. How far do you want to take this?
Well, I'm taking it all the way to Hoddle Street.
So, where are West Coast exactly?
Down the shitter.
Does it surprise you how many people are celebrating smashing such a fucking nothing club?
I went on to X and I thought, and this is to explain that routine, which probably wasn't all that interesting anyway. I thought we'd won the fucking grand final, the way some people were carrying on.
Yeah.
We beat up on a team that needed to be beat up on.
Yeah, and this whole thing about celebrating Nick Dacos' superiority to Harley Reid, and Harley Reid's played, 6 games? It's like, what the fuck? And I'll put that right up there just before we actually go seriously to the game. The people who fucking booed Dom Sheed, seriously. I can understand you booing a player who's left your club, I can understand you booing a player who's hit one of your players. I don't understand you booing someone who fucking, to the best of his skill, kicked the goal and won a grand final for the opposition. It's like you're revalidating that over and over again.
We obviously do this every year, don't we?
Oh, fucking hell.
I don't remember us ever booing him before.
Does
that mean we're racists? I can't keep up with this anymore.
Oh, well, I don't know.
Isn't that what you do when you boo?
Yeah. Well, Dom would be Italian, wouldn't it?
Well, we love Italians, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I just found that fucking laughable. And, then Anthony Hudson, again, fucking terrible commentator, although very overrated. He was talking about, why do they want to keep reminding themselves of the pain? It's like, the booing doesn't jog the memory, you idiot. The memory prompts the booing. Fucking hell. Seriously, some people are really... Anyway... So, go to the game.
Maybe it's a Marvel thing. Do they do that at Marvel? Because we don't play away all that often.
No. I heard that we were a little bit of a worry because McRae, the coach, not the player, McRae, the coach, had Collingwood meet at Tullamarine Airport 6:20 Friday to get to Marvel in time for the game.
I heard they stayed in town overnight.
Oh, fuck.
To readjust to the climate.
That's good. That's well done. So, they drove all the way to Tullamarine, realised they didn't actually need a plane and drove back and then jumped on the Spencer Street station or Southern Cross station train.
It's an arduous trip when you're playing away.
Yeah. against such quality opposition.
Yeah,
Would you take that win?
I'd take it. I'm taking it to Hoddle Street. Do you know that one of the reasons Ollie Henry cited for wanting to return home was he couldn't handle those trips to Marvel?
Yeah.
That was just too hard. Too hard, he reckons. It's just hard to pull up the next day.
Yeah.
But we beat the reigning premiers there, though, so we're travelling well.
Well, they were reigning...
Like a Wilbury.
They were reigning premiers 5 years ago. They had good albums.
We should boo them.
We should.
Hey, or maybe we misheard them. Is Scotty Burns still working for West Coast?
I don't know.
Maybe they saw him out there and they were all yelling "Boo Burns."
Maybe we should just boo like Bartel when he shows up next time.
Bootel.
Or Chris Scott. Chris Scott coached Geelong to a flag win over us.
Well, we should boo them.
Ron Barassi. He's gone, isn't he? Sorry, Ron.
What about Hayden Bunton? Should we boo him? Should we exhume him and boo him?
What did he do?
I don't know.
Let's get back to the game.
I thought we just booed everyone.
So...
Are we going to talk about the game?
Yeah.
Why have you redacted half your stats?
That's the way...
Well, we're that good, we can't even talk about it without being censored. We're
uncensored. Outs. Going into this game...
I'm not going out.
Just every day someone else seemed to be dropping. So, McCreary always going to have concussion protocols.
He's always going to have concussion protocols.
Yes. So, Schultz...
Did he tick the optional box on that
one? Schultz, why didn't you call the Carlton player Blake Acres a homophobic name? You would have got 5 times the penalty.
Yeah, we'll work that one out. Did we rant about that last week?
No, because that happened after the show. So I'll jump into it. So what do you think about 5 weeks?
I'm marvelling, because it's all about Marvel this week.
It's the Marvel episode.
I'm marvelling at a competition that will happily give a week to a bloke who runs up and smacks someone in the back of the head, because cow punches are in, apparently. They must be the in thing. But if you call someone a homophobic slur, you get now 5 weeks?
It's madness. And not to say he should...
How many corpses are littered in front of that slur? I'm sure he must have wiped out half a suburb. It's got to be the most heinous act known to man.
And not to say he shouldn't be punished, but just talking about how disproportionate it is compared to someone hitting
I would have thought
in the back of the head.
I mean, I would have
thought that'd be
I'm
reversed.
old school. I would have thought it was the other way around too. That you hit a bloke in the back of the head, you get 5 weeks. You call somebody a name, you get a week.
Oh, it's really just insanity.
But it's not our world anymore, mate.
No, it isn't.
We're old. We're worn out.
Yum. In jokes. So my check, McCreary, Schultz, Elliott all out. Elliott was a surprise. He just sort of later in the week was like doubtful, then he was ruled out. So they had.
Well, you said it's too far to travel. Because I would have had to get up on Monday to get to Marvel Stadium.
Yeah. So the ends, McRae, Finley came back, McInnes, Richards, Joe Richards, and Bytel. Press conference, McRae said, "There's an excitement about youth." Because probably it's the first time he's seen it in the senior team. It's like,
who would have thought?
It's probably thought, I feel like Santa here now.
He said, when he picked him, he said, "Come and sit on my knee. Tell me what you want for Christmas, as long as it's you're playing this week."
Yeah, I found that.
Is it because the younger blokes that they recover well from these long distances when they're playing away?
I don't know. Potentially.
You get jet lag, don't you, when you're on the way back from Marvel?
Well, yeah, I think you do. That's if you catch the red eye. So coming in, and Harrison got injured really early, did an ankle, and Howe did a groin.
That's what kicking a goal does.
Yeah.
In our forward line. It wasn't long after that, was it? It was pretty quick. I didn't even see the incident. What did he do? Move?
No, I didn't see it.
Is it it from the journey?
He said yes. They said there's concern about him being seated for the extent of the journey. He didn't stretch, so his groin just
altitude? It's high altitude at Marvel, isn't it?
Well, that's Southern Cross Station train. That goes over like a bridge at one point.
Over a bridge?
Over a bridge. It's like about 50 metres from the ground.
It's like climbing the Himalayas, I reckon.
Yeah,
there's a base camp. There's a base camp at the outside of the stadium.
There, and they're just going, "Oh, can you breathe?" They have Sherpas there carrying your bags.
Apparently, if you go for a mark there, you have to abseil back down.
So, Bytel came on. McRae played forward. Finley McRae.
Well, it's good we found a role for him. We found a role.
He dominated the might of the... Well done to McRae for taking his chances. What did you think of McRae? Like, I thought, great, he's kicked his goals. I didn't really seem to notice him too much outside of that.
No, look...
and there might be just the role that he was playing half forward.
I did watch the replays a couple of times. I think he was he got inside a couple of times and dug a handball out, but mainly I thought he wasn't all that prominent either, except for when he just happened to be in the right spots to kick goals.
Well, that's a talent. When you find your spot, you find your role.
Yeah.
So what's that say about Bytel? We found his role.
Welcome to Collingwood. Clunk.
What do you think of Bytel? I mean, didn't really stay on long enough to...
No, he was probably out of all the debutants, because we had about 94 of them this week.
Yeah.
He was the quietest, though he still ended up with 11 possessions, I think, which was...
Yeah, I've got...
Which was, wasn't it triple what Hoskin Elliott produced?
Well, we found his role.
No.
7 possessions only.
7, was it?
Yeah, you're full of it.
Oh, no, it was Markov that ended up with about 3 or something.
And the 4 marks.
Yeah, look, I can't... I did see the number a couple of times, so he's obviously throwing himself at it, and then the Darling Express on its way to Sniperville. I don't think there was any...
No, I don't think there's any malice in it.
Although Darling was a bit aggressive a couple of times. But there, I think it was just a bad accident. Has that been ruled on? I think it gets looked at tonight.
I wish you get 6 weeks.
Well, you'd have to, wouldn't you?
Because I think he called him a name when he was falling.
Yeah.
He goes, take that, you.
Yeah, you big bum boy.
All right, so Sullivan from last week, this week.
That's not what I meant to say, but
yeah,
we'll just stick with that one. Sullivan, what'd you say?
Following on from last week against Carlton.
I actually think he can play. There's a couple of passages that he looked really good. Yeah, he's very aggressive. He's quick. He's happy to put his head over the ball, which is good. I think he might hang around for a little while.
Hopefully, if he doesn't get concussed again. McInnes coming back into the side.
How good was to see a bloke leading into space in the forward line?
Yeah,
and taking marks in the lead. Do you remember what they look like? Yeah. I had to look it up because I'd forgotten. Running, hands outstretched, taking marks. It was good. Then he went off injured. I got a little bit concerned there for a while.
Do you think they'd lead more if McRae sat him down and said, emulate what we do when we take off for an away game. So just watch the plane leading down the runway.
Well, that's it.
And take off.
I think he's yelling out V1 rotate to them as they leave the ground.
Of the young guys, Joe Richards, I thought was...
He started out like an absolute...
For about the first half, yeah.
I think he tired. That was probably... I mean, even though he did feature in that last minute or so, that he was still up the ground a fair bit, but he clearly ran himself out of the ground. But geez, he looked good.
He looked good. He showed a lot of smarts. I mean, the interesting thing with young guys, particularly when they're not as, highly taken in the draft, they can slip under the radar. And then once the opposition starts paying attention to them, it's like, how do you deal with it? But he was really impressive before.
Mature age, what is he? He's early 20s or something. Is he 23,
yeah,
22,
23 or something, yeah.
Yeah, Ben Reid, I heard in the listened to the Real Footy podcast on the drive over here, and they were saying that Ben Reid was saying there's hundreds of them up there in the Ovens Valley League. He goes, you just can't walk 10 metres without tripping over a potential superstar.
Yeah, I think he said...
But actually, Jack Null made a good point about you're probably going to see a lot more of this sort of thing, because with the Tasmanian team coming in for the 948th compromise moment of this competition, that you're going to have to start looking elsewhere for I'm actually surprised this hasn't been
a resource more. I think I can fucking say it because it doesn't really matter. About 24 years ago, I was posing to a couple other people a business model of... getting involved with mature age recruits, filming them at their VFL games or wherever, cutting it together a highlights package and then pitching them to clubs. Because back then there was that stigma that if you weren't coming straight out of the draft or straight into the draft from lower leagues that you weren't up to it. But now, it's starting to increasingly happen. You go Podsy Adley at Geelong, if you remember him. Barlow at Fremantle, we took Mychek. And I think there's a lot of players there who can actually play if they're given the chance and got them into the system.
Definitely. And you think, look, the top tier of AFL players has come down, so there's a bit more of a closer meeting ground from that where there used to be a void between middle-aged, mature players that probably were never going to be good enough. Now they're closer to the ones that just miss out are not that far off at any rate.
But you look at them Mychek, to me, would have to be... he's not a key forward up there with Cameron and those sort of players. But I still sort of rate him in the top 15 big forwards in the league. I mean, I know there's only, fucking 20, 25 of them. I'd probably put him higher than that just because of his work rate. He's a really good player. Can you imagine what he'd be like behind a Kuno or whatever? Barlow would have won the Brownlow if he didn't break his leg the way he was going. So some of these guys, and I think the other thing too is when you're picking up these guys 25, 26, it shows they have a fucking desire to succeed because they keep pushing at it. So I think sometimes it's circumstance.
And you know, look, you probably set yourself up if you're good enough to have 4 or 5 years of a good earn and be at the pinnacle of the sport.
Yeah, so I really liked Richards. You know, even Brereton said at one point, you know, if you can't really see him getting pushed out the way he's playing. He won't now because Harrison's injured and Elliott's
Elliott's going to be out for a little while, so you figure Schultz comes in and plays that Elliott role, and then there's plenty of room for Richards to keep running around with. He's really, the freneticism and attacking the footy was just awesome. And his hands are so quick in traffic too. He just ticked so many little boxes. Yeah,
and he kicked a couple of points, so definitely fits in. I did think though in winning this game, I mean, they were like all the young guys were encouraging, but I thought it was really built on the back of all the senior players. Pendles, Crisp, Sidebottom were all really, really good. Darcy Cameron was really good, and obviously Nick Dacos is brilliant. But you look at like the numbers. I mean, Pendles has basically turned back the clock. Some of his gameplay was just really... It felt like he sort of went out there going, I'm not going to fucking let this one be a close one. This is one we have to just smash. Crisp was so good, you think, geez, when the goey comes back, do you just say to going, well, we're going to start playing at full forward maybe a bit more?
I was going to pose that question too, because I reckon it's more than coincidence that Nick has just got back to that really elite level without DeGoey there. Like his monstering clearances and his work around the footy has been sublime. About whether him and DeGoey just not sort of clash or anything like that. And you don't want to make it sound stupid or anything like that, but I think at the moment he's a better player without him there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a synergy.
Obviously because he's not there, that would be the reason. But whether, when they come back, but it's not a fait accompli. I think you throw him straight back in the midfield and let them clash. And at the moment, why mix with something that's not broken?
Certainly, I'll draw like the most equal comparison, which is like playing NHL on the PlayStation years ago.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, but it's really interesting because when you actually got players, like you get a gun player and then put him on the line, and it had a chemistry thing. And even if you got a really gun player, you put him in the line, the chemistry sometimes went down because they just didn't work well. I mean, I don't know what algorithms they use, but then you get someone else who wasn't as good, but the chemistry would go up. And that's sort of like what I look at what you're talking about with the Goey and that, which is the chemistry of that midfield with Nick and the Goey, the way it's currently set up might not just work, and then you take the Goey out of it and suddenly Crisp looks, fuck, how good was that game? That was the best game he's played the whole year by far. By far, he got like 32 possessions.
Against the reigning premiers too.
Yeah.
So, no, I think, but the thing is with the Goey, the luxury of that is you can play him anywhere and he'll be a ball.
Yeah. Can you play him at home?
No, on the NHL. Can you play him there?
Yeah, you can. He's in there.
What's his chemistry rating like?
Markov did some really nice things too.
I thought he vanished. I thought Hoskinelli gave him the cloak this week.
I told you, like I remember I texted you in the middle, what's happened to him? I thought he was injured, but then there was like little bits where he just popped up, and I thought, okay, that's what you want to see. Noble, conversely, has been really, really good with just in attack and all that sort of stuff. Hoskin since you're really ripping into him.
Look, I think Hoskin Elliott, his marking was really good in the game. And there was a couple of moments where he was really good, but there was some real fucking bad clangers.
Yeah.
But, I actually thought he looked better running around the forward line than he has further up the ground. Look, it's a new role for him, and we know how important it is to be good at roles.
Visible?
Hey? Visible role, yeah. Yeah, well, I think when your teammates can see you, they can kick to you. I think that's an important component of his game. I didn't think... he fucked a few things up, but I actually thought he was probably on the whole reasonably good. What was his numbers in the end?
Hoskin Elliott.
Kicked 1 goal, missed about 20.
11 kicks, 6 handballs, 17 possessions, 5 marks. So...
Playing as a high half forward, that's probably not bad.
Two behinds.
Yeah, well, he missed one straight in front. He kicked 1 goal, didn't he?
No, 2 behinds.
2 behinds,
the stats.
okay.
So, just also go back to Joe Richards. Joe Richards got 6 tackles. Who do you think got more than him? There's one person who got 7.
Was it Nick?
Yeah. So it's amazing the way he's rounded out his game, offensive game. He plays like this really good defensive game where he just ping pongs around, smothers it, follows it up, And like watching the commentary or listening to commentary, I mean, they were marvelling at just the way he just keeps moving. Like, oh, like he's still going. You know, he's in there getting the first handball out, and just kept running. It's an astonishing.
Are you talking about Dacos or Richards?
Nick Dacos.
I thought you were about Richards, because that was probably the greatest debut I'd ever seen.
Jason Richards from Seinfeld.
Yeah.
The one I really would like to shine a spotlight on was Quainer. I just thought, geez, what's happened to this guy? Some people have posed to me that he's just gotten too big and it's slowed down his mobility.
It's that too. He's also fumbly.
Yeah.
It's just like he's not as clean. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Is it the
travel? The travel thing that's gone to
yeah.
him? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that of all the players,
lack of oxygen at that height. Do you think maybe
potentially? But of all the players this year, I think everyone, you know, as much as you bag Hoskin and Elliott, every player's had little patches of where they've looked good. And he's the one guy I think he really hasn't looked that good the whole year. There's probably like a little bit.
There's moments.
In against the killer, but there's not like a dominant period.
No, just moments at the moment.
Yeah, so I don't know what's happening with him, but, you know, you look at like I said, this game I thought was really important that you had all the senior players stand up. Sidebottom went to half back, showed that you can still play him. And again, it is West Coast though, so you always got to qualify that, hey, it's not the greatest team around. And if you look at like the tackles, where in the last few weeks, you know, we've been getting so many more tackles than the opposition. And this one, it was only 44 tackles to 48, so it was
it wasn't a physical game by any stretch. But it was the other thing that I thought was good too is those moments where they did go inside 50 West Coast. We repelled really well. Like Frampton and Moore had some really good moments.
Yeah.
There was one passage that there's two things I thought Moot did that was Morey did that was really good. There was one where he was running and his opponent had dropped back a little bit and the ball looked like it was clearly going to sail. And he just did this big leap and managed to sort of hook the ball and stop its momentum and then came back in front of him. And like you're looking at the angle of the ball that was coming on the TV, thinking, oh, he's run under it, he's going to miss it. But he just timed that beautifully. But there was one where there was two West Coast players around them. Do we actually know any West Coast player names anymore, apart from the Boo one?
Dom Sheed, Harley Reid.
Yeah. Oh no, we know him because he's better than Dacos already.
Yeah.
But there was two.
He wasn't there.
No.
McGovern, he fell and busted a rib.
It could have been him. I don't know. But anyway, so one of them took the ball and Moore's sort of tackled him and dispossessed it, and the ball ended up going over or he handball. I can't remember. But he sort of ping-ponged between the two and managed to impact the other guy that was running away. And that was just a real impressive moment for a big guy to be sort of that agile and move that quickly. He's looking really, really good at the moment. He didn't have to work particularly hard, but these moments are.
Well, it seems like since they brought Frampton in, it really feels like that defence is now starting to work a lot better. And I think it says something that they decided they were going to move Howe out rather than Frampton, and they did that even last year too at periods. I think sort of eventually, or for the grand final, they said, well, it's been a bit more settled this way, let's leave it for the finals. But Frampton allows Moore to sort of play a little bit more freely and to back himself a little bit more, and that's what you probably would have got from if Murphy was there. You know, there was times like Murphy would take marks, and you like particularly if he was distant, but you look at it and go, was that Moore? And then you realise, oh no, it's Murphy, and Murphy's marking was just that good. And I think Frampton, he's backing himself a little bit too for the marks, and if they can get him to pull off a few more, it's going to liberate Moore and the others to back themselves even further. Any final thoughts about this game? I mean, it was really impressive that we smashed them, and then when we started getting injuries, we just managed the game, and we still had opportunities. And it wasn't until like the last quarter that it just felt like now it's just a junk time game, and that we're not showing any urgency, but that's fine because we only have one player. Yeah, but we only have one player on the bench to rotate through. No,
that's it. I mean, West Coast very undermanned. They had a few key injuries out. Their form the last couple of weeks has been, I would imagine, for them encouraging. But
well, they've been competitive, which is what media have been crying for. I mean, why the media gives a fuck? It's funny that I'll actually just sort of go on the side. Like people like Kane Corns last year were going, you got to sack Simpson. And we said, well, they've backed him, so shut the fuck up. And now they're getting some sort of reward for backing him and showing some the competitiveness, which is all you want to see. But I mean, the other reality is they've gotten players back this year, which they didn't have last year, and that's a big part of the reason why they're competitive. It's not just Harley Reid. It's how good was Harley Reid's mark? Not as good as Elliott's, but how good was it?
No, it was similar, but yeah, no, it was very good.
Oh,
He will be a gun.
Oh, he's already a gun. I think
He's only 6 games in.
Yeah. Oh, but you look at him. He plays with such self-assuredness. You look at him, you think, geez. I mean, Nick Dacos did the same thing. Geez, you've already been running around for 40 games or something. You just slipped into the.
What works well for Reid? I know. What is he? 19, 20 or something. He's got that full build already.
Yeah.
And he's a solid kid, and he moves well, and he's got that, he backs himself. As you said, he clearly uses confidence and self belief, and that sort of adds to your abilities, well and truly.
Yeah, whatever age he is, it's 3 hours less because he lives in West Australia.
Well, apparently though, with the way that Einstein explains time is the further away you are from the Earth, like you are at Marvel, when you're travelling that far, that time pretty much stands still. So you've balanced that 3 hours out. It's all science.
I like science.
Look it up on Google.
All right, so going into next week, Jeremy Howe's out. Jack Bartel will have concussion protocols. Harvey Harrison's a maybe.
Yeah, he's been tested. Because we looked at the injury list, because we're up to date. We did some research.
Yeah.
I read that white thing that glows at me. What do you call it, a phone?
Yeah, and De Goey had completed the run, which is assuring, but he's still going to have
10.5 Ks. What did he pull up week?
Yeah, I don't know.
We couldn't do the last half a K.
Elliott's still going to be out.
Yeah, he's a vascular injury. What's a vascular injury?
I don't know. You said it was a heart issue.
I don't know.
I thought you would look it up.
I don't know. I didn't look it up. Why would I look it up? I looked up the injury list. That's enough. I can't go past that.
And then you get McCreary, who somehow is still out. So that's actually a bit of a worry.
Well, that's round 10 to 11 to return from the concussion protocols.
That can't be concussion, surely. That's surely because he got kneed straight to the face.
It was a big hit.
Yeah. So did he break a jaw or?
It's what mate of mine was saying. He was surprised he didn't.
Was it Beanie?
No. That it looked like he sort of cracked his jaw or something at the time. And you wouldn't be surprised if that was the case.
Yeah. And just to answer one of the comments on last week's show. Yeah, I mean, totally agree because the comment was like, well, if you're paying Nat as a report and all that sort of stuff, and totally agree. I'm just sort of saying in the environment that the AFL's like, if you hit the head, then you're just liable. Then that should be culpable. But yeah, I totally agree. I mean, this is the thing. Accidents happen, so, that's definitely not reportable or anything. But so you're still missing those guys, and you've lost a handful this week. I don't know what there is to bring up out of the VFL. Ash Johnson did okay, apparently. Kruger still
Dean apparently was best on ground, so I think he'd be a Monty to come in. Because, I mean, you've got the Adelaide four line's got 3 talls, isn't it? You've got
Fogarty,
Walker, and the other tall bloke.
Tilforth? I don't know. I haven't watched Adelaide for a while.
Do
you think they'll deal with the travel?
Adelaide, were they playing? Where are we playing? We're playing at the MCG.
Yeah, we're playing at home.
At the home of football.
Yeah. Hopefully, our players get used to the acclimation in terms of the weather and the conditions going from Marvel to MCG.
Well, that's going to be the big question mark about how we pull up from that trip home. Back to Victoria from Marvel.
Yeah.
So that'll be the big one. It won't be an easy game, this one. Adelaide, okay.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, they drew against Brisbane, so hopefully that was a dispiriting draw. Yeah, I know. I mean, they've pushed us the last few times we've played them.
We've only just beaten them, isn't it? Yeah, it's
the last 3 times, I'm pretty sure.
And 2 points and 3 points or something.
So I'd like to see Collingwood try and do what they did against West Coast, which is just stamp out the belligerence really early and then just control the tempo of the game. But it is concerned with all these injuries. I mean, what is with all these soft tissue injuries that we're now having? Some of them impact. I don't know what Elliott went with. The goalie, you sort of count that a wear and tear injury. That Hal doing a groin.
I was talking to someone about it today. You wonder whether, because you start to see, like Richmond had a few go down again, and was it Rioli did an ACL or something, I think.
Did you see that?
Is this now the catching up that you're doing for the retarded way that the season started?
Totally agree.
And you start now
doesn't
see...
happen in NHL at all.
No, doesn't it? Because of the chemistry.
The chemistry.
Yeah, well, the chemistry's
and
right.
they're digital. But they still get injuries. They get reports.
Do they?
Yeah.
I
remember, sorry.
Do they find they get more when they're playing at Marvel in the AHL?
what was it? Like there was some soccer managing game I used to play so many years ago, but you'd have the injuries, but every now and again it must have had some random freak occurrence generator. And it's like, oh, your player has cracked his skull in a car accident and he's out for like 30 weeks. So it's like,
Well, it happens.
It happens, yeah.
Especially when you're coming back from Marvel, because you're on the road for days.
So, obviously just showing I play games like a nerd. But yeah, go on. Yeah, the injuries, the soft tissue injuries, and
yeah, I'd say there'd be a correlation between the way that the season started and
you've taxed
you start to
players.
see it come to fruition now that you've had strange training loads, you've had short turnarounds in games and that sort of thing. It's not surprising that you start to see as you're getting towards the halfway point of the season that there's a few things breaking. Unfortunately, with the bulk of ours, and none of them are particularly bad or anything like
hopefully,
that.
but you don't know. I mean,
because 2 to 3 weeks at Collingwood, you know we come back quick from those.
I still go back to 2019 where they said the guy was out for 10 days and 10 weeks later he was still out. And then you had Howard did a corky in 2018 and he was out for 10 weeks. It's like, no disrespect to the club because all the clubs do it, but they all lie. I don't know why. I don't know who's sitting there going, oh, is this really a 2-week injury? Or we've got to change our whole structure now. I don't get it. But yeah, there's a little bit of a concern because you're looking at now the VFL and it's looking really thin. Understand I've said this before, you bring them up into the AFL system, some of them shine a lot better. There's not a lot to bring up though. I was actually thinking, do you even, with Dean, what they featured on Instagram, the club is his intercept marking, do you actually just bring him up and go, let's play him as a forward, let's see what happens?
Well, we might have to. Because well, it all depends on the ends, I suppose. But yeah, we don't have a lot of tools running around at the best of times. And now we've lost Howe, so the plan to move Howe up forward lasted about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
He could come in and do that. Or you know who else could play up forward?
No.
More? You think?
You wouldn't. I can't. You can't move Frampton because it's just.
No, I think he's too much of a.
I mean, he came in for that St Kilda game and he was really good. And ever since he's been in, the defence has looked a lot better. And also, the more he plays with the more chemistry they develop, and then they start to understand each other's patterns and shit like that. So
wants and needs.
Yeah. So I think you can't move him because that's got to be, if you're looking at like the club from a long term perspective, that's got to be something where you go, well, hopefully this is the linchpins of our defence for the next 5 years. So let's not fuck with it. Unless there's a gross drop in form. But, I mean, Frampton, to me, he's been looking good ever since he came in. He's doing stuff that I think is surprising a lot of people. You called it really earlier when we got him, where you said you spoke to someone linked to the Adelaide Club who said, you've got a beauty there. He just wasn't getting in because he was being screwed around with his contract and shit like that. And you look at him, it's like, what would you rate him as a draft pick? Like, he's probably better than Wiedering already. So, where would you put him? Like, he'd have to be in the top 3.
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily.
So, top 5 athletes of all time. Ahead of Ali and Serena Williams.
He was. Did we post that? We did post that meme, didn't we?
Yeah.
That was after grading. Yeah.
What show was that?
What's that?
Someone asked me, what show's that? That meme.
Oh.
But no, seriously.
I think I know who it was.
Yeah.
Too.
You're just trying to build that back 6, and you can sort of have like some of the fringe players like Mark Off and Noble come in and out, but those linchpins, you want them to develop that relationship so you know what you're getting.
Well, it could be possible that the Ash Johnson and Dean comes in this week.
You don't think they'll rush Kruger in?
He's the forgotten love child, isn't he, really?
He's only 2 weeks back into
No, that's the thing, but yeah, he did take a big hanger and a goal on the.
He took a really nice mark and leave, but that's pretty much all he did.
Mm.
I mean, the one thing with Kruger, I'd probably say, look, in 2 weeks we'll probably need you anyway, so maybe get another run in the VFL.
Yeah, I don't know. I think because of the fragility factor, I'd probably bring Nash Johnson in ahead of him.
Yeah.
But again, look, it'll all come down to matchups. But I think we'd want to go in a little bit tall. I don't think the Cox down forward thing worked particularly well. What did he didn't score, did he?
He had a shot he missed from memory. I'll have a look, but I do recall he missed one. One behind. I mean, he doesn't do a lot playing as a forward, and he's obviously not going to give you that defensive pressure on you or that shit. He seems, I don't know if they're using him more as a decoy at times, but you rarely see him like in the goal square. It's like when Howe went off, then forgot who was playing at full forward. Then you sort of saw, like, I mean, that was like last week too. Elliott was playing at full forward, so they're using the leading marking smalls to be your target. So I wouldn't actually mind them throwing Cox into goal square and just say just play from the goal square and only lead to a certain extent. Because if you get the ball to him quick, he's a pretty good chance. And the thing with Cox, when he has those days when he's marking, he just marks everything. It's just insane. I don't know, but I don't know in terms of what their options are. They don't really have a lot.
No.
And if they keep dropping players like this, I mean, the one concerning thing about the injuries is they've dropped players, and it's like the McCreary thing. It's like, okay, concussion protocol's 1 week, and now he's not going to come back for like 3 more weeks. So what's happened there? So Elliott, he's got some soreness. Now he's out for a few more weeks too. De Goey, he's got osteitis, which no one told us, no one disclosed. So he's out for longer than you expect. So I mean, that's the one concern is like, how bad are these guys really, and how much of it is just managing the press.
Well, the thing is they're the guys that you want at the tail end of the season to be cherry ripe as well. So you sacrifice weeks now for the betterment of the team at the end of the year.
Here's the thing will be Pendlebury, because surely they would have managed him at some point, and they haven't really.
It just doesn't look like he needs to be managed.
He doesn't, but I mean, it's like 206 when Buckley was played at pretty much as a key forward, but they just took him out every now and again just for the fuck of it. So whether there's some sort of loads where they're looking at going like, well, we're probably going to need to manage him at some point, but we can't because we don't have, maybe when you play North Melbourne or something, say yes, I'm calling North a fucking certain win. Maybe when you play someone like that, you go, we'll manage him then because we should win fucking regardless. But that's the one thing that worries me with all these injuries. How much is it impacting the management of other players?
Yeah, but you saw how they did with Sidey this week. They played him off the back line, and he looked better this week. But again, you got to put it in the context of the opposition as well.
So you think we found a role for him?
Yeah, I think we found a role for him. I think we all knew we had a role in him, but we just weren't sure what until that weekend. Because one game makes your entire career. So it's you look, some things work this week. They're not guaranteed to work against Adelaide. So at least we tried something a little bit different.
Yeah, like I said,
I think things like certainly with Pendles is like your ability to get the footy and rack up stats and all that sort of thing is one thing, but his on-field leadership is something else. When you're directing other people to do the right things, that's just as good as touching the footy yourself.
Yeah, that's interesting because I actually saw an interview, whatever that new footy fern shit or furnace or whatever the fuck it's called. Farty furnace? I don't know. But the one with Matthews, Bartel and so Tom Morris, I don't know who the fuck the other one is. But they were showing Ross Lyon and he was complaining that like you have limited times you can send the...
Ross Lyon complaining?
Yeah.
What fucking universe are you in?
I've travelled to it. But he was just complaining that like you can't send messages out because you got limited times you can send the runners out. And he was talking about the St Kilda Hawthorn game. He goes, I'm not making excuses. They beat us, but I would have liked to have been able to send messages out to, change things up and shit like that. And then Matthews was talking. He would just said, look, you should be trained the players to be prepared for whatever contingency. But he goes, it is a bonus when you have a Scott Pendlebury out there directing traffic and telling people what to do. So, and you saw that in the grand final last year.
Last quarter especially.
Yeah, he really dictated the way we should set up. And the thing I still love about the grand final, outside of winning, it's fortunate when you play West Coast last year, but outside of beating Brisbane, was just that thing when Nick Dacos went up to Pendles, goes, you want me to just rotate out with and put Mitchell in here? And just Pendlebury just saying, you don't want to be a part of this? It's just that little challenge he gave out to fucking, no, hey, do you want to be part of this or not? And he was a big part. So, Pendles in terms of that just brings so much here. I totally agree. What's your tip against Adelaide? They're the pride of South Australia.
The Camry Crows.
Mm-hmm.
The outs concern me that it's a mounting thing, depending on who comes in. If we're...
Well, the one thing with the outs is a lot of the young guys still going out. So Howe's the only one of real, great experience. I mean, you potentially lose Harrison and Bytel. So,
yeah,
the Howe thing is a concern.
Yeah. I think it'll be a close game, no matter what. But I think the Crows will get us by about 10 goals.
Okay. I'll go for Collingwood by 27 points. I would have went for more if they had to travel further and go all the way to Marvel.
Well, I think that's the reason why we could struggle on this one.
Yeah.
Is the travel factor is going to be a concern.
Yeah.
I mean, Adelaide wouldn't fucking know about it.
Well, I hear they lodged a protest with the AFL earlier in the year when the AFL goes, we're going to play this at Marvel. They go, no, that's just too far to travel coming off a 7-day break.
Yeah.
Can you bring it back to the MCG? And the AFL said, well, look, okay, but that's one of the difficulties you have to face when you're administrating an AFL club. It's like the travel.
That's it.
Anything else before we go?
No, that'll fucking do.
Anyway, that's it for us. Leave comments, follow, subscribe. I keep forgetting to say it. And we'll see you next week. Later.
See you at the party, Richter. It was a Tex Walker kick, that one.